The UN chief said that the humanitarian situation across the Strip is becoming more dire. He added that the world is facing a severe risk of collapse of the humanitarian system as the situation is fast deteriorating into a catastrophe with potentially irreversible implications for Palestinians as a whole and for peace and security in the region. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reiterated that the war to eliminate Hamas will continue until all the goals are achieved. Israeli Defense Forces have said that there are signs that Hamas' system is falling apart as they are killing militants every day. IDF added that there is a need to press even harder. Israel has deepened fighting in the Khan Yunis area and ordered more evacuations in the city. IDF has also claimed to have eliminated many militants in part of northern Gaza, where forces reportedly located underground shaft and weapons. The United States government has bypassed a congressional review and has used an emergency authority to allow the sale of about 14,000 tank shells to Israel. The move indicates Washington's undeterred support to Israel. And amid its continued offensive in Gaza, the U.S. State Department on Friday used an Arms Export Control Act emergency declaration for the tank rounds worth $106.5 million for immediate delivery to Israel, as per the Pentagon. However, the Biden administration has been pushing for an even bigger sale for Congress to approve. And the larger package is worth more than $500 million and includes 45,000 shells for Israel's Merkava tanks. And these tanks are regularly deployed in its offensive in Gaza, which has killed thousands so far. The Israel Defense Forces have announced that the death of the nephew of former IDF Chief of Staff and current War Cabinet Observer, Minister Gadi Eisenkot, the death of his nephew comes only a day after Eisenkot lost his son in the Strip. 19-year-old Sergeant Major Cohen Eisenkot was killed during a raid inside a mosque in Khan Yunis. The IDF said that the explosive device was detonated near the forces and that the troops directed an attack helicopter to strike Hamas gunmen on the roof of the mosque. Major Cohen Eisenkot was the son of Sharon Eisenkot and the War Cabinet's half-sister from their father's second marriage. A day before, the War Cabinet minister's 25-year-old son, Karmai Eisenkot, was killed in the Palestinian enclave's north. Thousands rallied in Tel Aviv calling for the release of hostages held in Gaza, and 2 months after they were taken captive from Israel by Hamas gunmen. Around 100 hostages have been released by the Islamist militant group, and Israel says that more than 130 remain in Gaza. Israel launched its campaign to annihilate Gaza's Hamas rulers after their fighters burst into Israeli towns on October 7th, killing 1,200 people and capturing 240 hostages. And this is according to Israeli tallies. According to Gaza's health ministry, vast majority of Gaza's 2.3 million residents have already been forced to flee their homes, many fleeing several times, and at least 17,700 have been killed. The president of the University of Pennsylvania has stepped down. And this is in the wake of a firestorm of criticism after appearing for a congressional hearing on the rise in anti-Semitism on U.S. campuses. And this makes her the first out of the 3 Ivy League university heads who testified to step down. Following university president's departure, the university's Board of Trustees chair has also resigned. Elizabeth McGill was among 3 presidents of elite universities, namely Harvard, MIT and the University of Pennsylvania, who faced withering criticism for their testimony during a congressional hearing on campus anti-Semitism. Along a week ago, she appeared to weigh the question of whether students who called for the genocide of Jews should be punished. At a Young Republicans event in New York, former U.S. President Donald Trump addressed his civil fraud trial and promised to save democracy. Trump labeled the case brought against him as ridiculous and railed against the trial process. The lawsuit accuses Trump, his company and top executives, including his sons, of misleading banks and insurers by giving them financial statements that padded his net worth by billions of dollars. Trump denied any wrongdoing and said that the statement's numbers actually fell short of his wealth. The Republican frontrunner also responded to claims that he was a threat to democracy, describing this as a new hoax. Hong Kong has held its first patriots-only elections, and in these polls, for the first time, no candidate from the opposition camp was allowed to contest. And this comes after an electoral overhaul that weeds out those considered disloyal to the Chinese government. And as per new legislative amendments in July, the number of directly elected district council seats were reduced by nearly 80% compared to what they were 4 years ago. All candidates were also required to secure nominations from at least 9 members of government-appointed committees that are mostly packed with Beijing loyalists, making it virtually impossible for their pro-democracy rivals to run. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has voted in the country's presidential elections, where he's poised to win a third term in power. Voting is spread over 3 days, with results due to be announced on December 18th. Victory would hand Sisi a 6-year term. Only 3 candidates could qualify to stand against him in the polls, and none of them are high-profile figures. Critics see the election as a sham after a decade-long crackdown on dissent. The election comes as the country grapples with an economic crisis and a war on its border with Gaza. Nobel Peace Prize winner Narges Mohammadi, currently jailed in Iran for her activism for women's rights, will begin a new hunger strike in prison. And as her prize is awarded in Norway, the strike will be a show of solidarity towards the Baha'is religious minority in Iran. Mohammadi is currently being held in Tehran's notorious prison, where last month she went on another hunger strike to protest against obligation for women to wear the hijab in Iran. Mohammadi's twin 17-year-old children who live in exile in Paris are due to accept the award at Oslo City Hall and give the Nobel Peace Prize lecture on her behalf. Mohammadi's Nobel Peace Prize came in the wake of months-long protests across Iran triggered by the September 2022 death in custody of Mahsa Amini. In a world's first, a Chinese company has launched 3 satellites into orbit with rockets fueled by methane and liquid oxygen. With this achievement, the private company beats Elon Musk's SpaceX in this technology, and the aerospace company Landspace launched its rocket carrying 3 satellites, Honggu, Honggu 2 and TY-33, into planned orbit on Saturday. Now, the firm says that with this, it has pioneered a new stage for the commercialization of launching liquid-powered rockets in China and has proven the technology's reliability and stability. Now, this is a milestone for China. The success could boost investor confidence in methane as a potential rocket fuel, which is deemed cost-effective. In a major crackdown on the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS, the National Investigation Agency in India arrested 15 alleged operatives of the banned organization during simultaneous raids at 44 locations across 2 Indian states, Maharashtra and Karnataka. The anti-terror agency raided these locations in close coordination with the police forces of Maharashtra and Karnataka. In the Maharashtra terror module, the seizures included a pistol, 2 air guns, 8 swords and 51 Hamas flags. Now, this latest raid in the two states comes after similar raids were carried out in the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir. Locations raided across the Union territory included Shopian and Baramulla. Sri Lanka was hit by a nationwide power outage, sending residents to grapple with the loss of electricity by working and studying in the dark. Some shopkeepers kept their business going by working under dim candlelight, while people at a tuition center were seen sitting in dark classroom. And a spokesperson from the country's power monopoly said that the electricity board said that a transmission system failure in the transmission line was reported around 5 p.m. local time. Witnesses said that power was restored to the whole country nearly 5 hours later. At least 6 people have died and dozens have been injured after heavy thunderstorms and a tornado battered Tennessee. According to a state media, 3 people died in the Nashville area and 3 in Clarksville. And as per officials, extensive damage has been reported at numerous locations. More than 59,000 customers were without power across central Tennessee. Heat wave, wildfires, cyclones and droughts. The El Nino phenomena is tightening its grip across Australia. With temperatures peaking at 43 degrees Celsius, authorities have now urged the citizens to stay indoors as much as possible. A heat wave scorched eastern Australian regions, sending temperatures in Sydney to a 3-year high on Saturday. Many people flocked to the beaches to cool off in the water, while some sought relief in the shade. 71 grass and bushfires burning across New South Wales on Saturday, and out of which 21 were uncontained. Due to rising temperatures, the authorities are concerned that the numbers may increase even more. Now, due to which a fire ban has been announced in the New South Wales state. A photograph of Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla, newly crowned in Buckingham Palace after their coronation, has been chosen for the royal couple's Christmas card. Charles was crowned king in May, 8 months after he ascended to the throne in a majestic ceremony at London's Westminster Abbey. Camilla, Charles' second wife, was crowned queen. Now, Charles is pictured wearing the imperial state crown, robe of estate and coronation tunic, while Camilla is seen donning Queen Mary's crown, robe of estate and a dress designed by Bruce Oldfield. Now, Charles' son Prince William also released his family's Christmas card for 2023, opting for a black and white photo with his wife Princess Kate and their 3 children. Tech giant Apple has set its eyes on India. The country will play a big role in Apple's plans to reduce its dependency on China. The grand plans are already taking shape. Reports say that the Tata Group is set to manufacture iPhones in India, and the group aims to set up 20 assembly lines in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu. Now, the facility is expected to start production in the next 12 to 18 months, and reports also suggest that Apple is keen on building iPhone batteries in India. Robust sales and revenue could be a big reason for Apple's India expansion, and Apple's revenue in India hit nearly $6 billion in 2022-23. The tech giant's net profit rose 76% in just 1 year, and the company recorded its highest ever quarterly shipments in India. US-based short seller Hindenburg has a new target. A Chinese amusement park operator, a month after Hindenburg Research said that it was betting against the firm. Now, Golden Heaven Group holding stock has fallen by over 90%. The stock saw its worst week on record, and that's a potentially significant win for Hindenburg Research. The reason for the abrupt drop isn't clear yet. At its peak, the company's market worth was close to $1.3 billion. But it has since dropped to around $70 million. And before the Hindenburg saga, shares of the firm zoomed 600% between September and mid-November. But the US research firm argued that there was no reason for justification for the price spike. The United States wants to buy up to 3 million barrels of crude oil for the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR, for delivery in March 2024. And this move clearly shows that the US wants to take advantage of low prices to replenish the stockpile. The United States seeks to buy back oil for the reserve at $79 per barrel or lower. And this comes after it received an average of about $95 a barrel from last year's sales. The US plans to buy crude for the emergency stash through May next year and has bought back nearly 9 million barrels for the reserve at about $75 a barrel. And the reserve currently holds 351.9 million barrels of oil. The Biden administration conducted the largest sale to date from the SPR last year, and that was done to limit an oil price rally after the Ukraine war. Germany is reeling from a budget crisis, but Chancellor Olaf Scholz has ruled out cuts to social spending, green subsidies or military aid for Ukraine. He wants a solution through the quote-unquote very difficult budget discussions. Scholz has pledged that his coalition government will continue to modernize the economy and preserve Germany's competitiveness as a business hub. Scholz has ruled out the demand for a cut in welfare spending from coalition partner Liberals. Economy Minister Scholz and Finance Minister will sit for budget talks on Sunday, and that's after Friday night's discussions ended without a deal. And their goal is to get a consensus on the 2024 budget in the next few days.